Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Poetic Truth Show, here only on Big City Radio 89.1 FM. I'm joined in the studio today by Decipher, aka Desi for Life, Tarek's Voice and Tanny Tizzle. They are three amazing poets fresh out of Birmingham, and they're going to be speaking to us later on, sharing some of their poetry with us, and we'll basically just be getting to know them a little bit better. We'll also be running through a couple of topics today, the first of which has been causing a bit of a stir online. I've had a crazy week, to be honest with you. And before I started talking about the topic, I just wanted to let everyone know again what the purpose of this show is. And the show is about informing and inspiring Birmingham. It's all about giving a voice to the community and being a voice for the voiceless and people who feel as though they're being silenced and aren't able to speak up on situations. And we're here to basically talk about it, get people involved in it, and have a friendly and respectful debate. That's what it's all about. So that being said, the WhatsApp number for the studio is 07501 540 353. That's 07501 540 353. And I'd really like people to get in touch, to get involved with this debate and join the discussion and basically have their say on what we'll be talking about today. So last week, as some of you are probably aware, we covered the Cardinal Wiseman bullying incident on the show. I discussed my feelings on the topic. I started out by saying, as I'm going to say today, that I feel bad for the girl involved in the video. No one deserves to be beaten up in that way by more than one person. These are children involved in the situation, and I wouldn't want anyone to feel as though I am bullying their child any further by speaking on the situation, which is why I have tried to be as respectful and careful with what I say as possible. So when I spoke about the situation last week, my first point was about the language that was being used to describe the black children online. I didn't say anything about the person deserving to be beaten up or anything like that. I just spoke about the language that was used and how language such as savages and animals and vermin is typically language that is reserved for people who are from ethnic minorities. So that was the reason why this story really stuck with me, was because of the way in which people were talking about other people's children online. And yes, a girl was sadly beaten up outside school, but the people who were involved in the fight were also children, and we shouldn't be saying these things about black children online. My second problem with the story was because the family had reached out to members of the far right, such as Danny Tomo and Tommy Robinson. They'd invited them into our city to further a racist narrative that the children had attacked this girl purely because she was white, and that there is some kind of race war building in King's Standing, and apparently black and white people can't seem to get along there, which I don't believe to be true, and I don't believe that there are gangs of black children roaming around just looking to attack white children specifically because they are white. So the decision by the family to reach out to those people and the way in which it was blown up online into a racism issue didn't sit well with me, partly because I think a lot of people don't fully understand what the meaning of the word racism is. You can't say an incident is racist just because there were people from two different races involved in the situation. That doesn't inherently make it a racist situation. So after I spoke about the situation on the show last week, I commented on a post which was made on April's wall by her mother, where she was saying things about the head teacher being bad at his job, about animals and all sorts of other racist commentary. and I decided to comment on that. The Birmingham Mail quoted my comment on that and kind of made it seem as though I was agreeing with the family, although they'd missed out the part where I said I didn't agree with the racist angle that the story was taking. So I expressed my opinion on that situation, and after that I was harassed and I'd say bullied online by members of the family who were inboxing me abuse, threatening me, and saying all sorts of derogatory things about me, about my show, calling me a racist just because I'm speaking about racism, and all sorts of things like that. So it just descended into a bit of madness, really. And so in the midst of all of that, someone contacted me and said that they wanted to put across another side of the story. They wanted to talk about the things that had happened in the run-up to the fight video and the reasons why the fight had occurred in the first place. So I made a post about this online, which some of you might have seen on Facebook. And the things that were said in the post, basically I had just shown evidence to prove that it wasn't an unprovoked racist attack as the family were claiming, because allegedly the fight was planned in retaliation for an attack which had happened at the school previously, in which April had attacked another child, and so there was a planned 2-on-2 fight set to happen after school, which is not something that I'm agreeing with either, but that is just what I've been told had happened. So in the fight video, you can see that more than 2 children are involved in the fight. The girl who was meant to be fighting with April decided she didn't want to fight. There was a bit of pushing and shoving, and then April threw the first punch, and then after that everyone kind of piled in and rushed her. I was also told, which was quite upsetting, and I have been given proof of this, but I can't share that proof with you at this stage because of an ongoing police investigation. So after the fight video, which we've all seen online, the parents of April and an auntie and one of their boyfriends, everyone was over 30, attacked 2 black girls, 12 and 15 years old, who were not involved in the fight. So they've jumped on them and attacked them and beaten them to the point that one of them had to go to hospital with a concussion. And yet online they've bragged about that. The family have bragged about the fact that they've beaten up this child. So that is their public record. It's on the page for everyone to see, so you can all see that that did actually happen. And so yeah, I've just been sharing a lot of stuff about that. And I wanted to get opinions in the studio, but the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the use of language and the way in which certain words are used to describe ethnic minorities and are not used to describe people of other races. And it's something that Raheem Sterling has spoken a lot about in the past in terms of the media and the way in which they vilify certain sections of the population through the wording that they use. So do you have any comments on that or anything I've said so far?
Are you talking about the language that was used to describe the young people?
Do you want to bring the mic a bit
Sorry, are you talking about the language that was used to describe the young people?
Yeah, so...
Yeah, so I said that online, and I see that he was using terms like savages and scumbags and all of these derogatory terms. I mean, the only thing I've got to say on that matter is that you can clearly see that it's not my man's intention to have any kind of peace or any kind of resolve.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that was a racist attack, which I'm not saying it is or it isn't, because you can't really tell from that video, then the guy is responding to that issue by using racism. And I feel like if that's his language to describe young people, then a lot has to be said about what his intention is, because he seems to be coming from the angle that this is a racist attack and it cannot be allowed. But how can you deal with a racist attack with racism? So that's my point, and that matters still. You know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't make no sense. This can't end as a positive situation. It can only be negative.
Yeah. So that was kind of what was rankling me, is the fact that there is no seeking for a resolution. The girl has been expelled from school, but so have many other children involved in the incident. So I've received other messages from people, so I haven't had just one person getting in touch with me about this. And I have heard that there have been black children and white children excluded, and the girl who was in the fight video.
Yeah.
So then that would tell me that the school is aware that it isn't just a racist issue. So why then are people from outside of the city, from the other side of the UK, coming to our city, kind of trying to spread this hatred and racism in an area which is typically known to be a racist area anyway, historically, King's Standing?
Yeah, I grew up in Northfield, so I grew up in one of the racist areas in Birmingham as well. And I think, especially with the old school, like parents and stuff, England is the mind state is covert, it's racist, isn't it? Like it's kind of like there's a hidden racism always there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when a lot of the older generation are raising their kids, they'll raise up in these particular areas, in these particular groups, they'll raise them to have that racist mindset. And you know what I mean? I think a situation like this just gives certain people who have had that covert racism inside them an excuse to express themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like on both sides, black and white and other different races, there's racism on all sides of the platform. We live in a racist country, so whether you've decided to be racist and take on that mindset, or you've been affected by racism and you have to respond to it, you know what I mean? We live in an environment that kind of pushes that agenda, you know what I mean? So these things are going to happen.
Yeah, but then it's kind of a teaching moment. These kind of things should be used as an opportunity to talk to your kids about racism and about the language they're using and about bullying and things like that. Like a few months ago, well, last year, I was near my house and there had been some gypsies had moved in, travellers had moved into the field near where I live, and my kids were asking me about it and kind of laughing about why these people were living in caravans. So I used that as a moment to teach them about the history of travellers, why they feel like they would prefer to be travelling the land and how historically and culturally that is something that they do. So when I'm dealing with my kids, if they say something, as young kids, my kids are like 4 and 8, they will from time to time come out with stereotypes and things like that because they don't understand the things behind it. So as a parent, it's your job to teach your children the other side so that they've got a broad enough mind to understand other people's cultures.
Unfortunately, that's not the case with some other parents that are raising their children. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously you can give thanks to parents that are doing that, but like, I work in schools and young establishments, and you can see, you know what's really funny? I work in Aston Manor School, and there's Asian kids, there's black kids, there's white kids in the school, and the young people get along with each other. Like, children are naturally quite harmonious, but then you can also see what's being taught in their houses coming out in certain situations, you know what I mean? So, you know, I think this is not a situation that's down to society in general. I think it's the main thing that we have to deal with is how we're raising our children and, you know, what information we're putting in our children's minds, you know what I mean? Because those stereotypes can really affect them, whether they believe it or not. Do you know what I mean? Like, I grew up thinking that a lot of Asians just naturally didn't like black people. And I'm a DJ, you know, and I started to DJ in the shisha bar. So when I went into the shisha bar, initially, there's my feeling of, yo, Asians don't really like me. Do you know what I mean? And then Asians have that natural, you know, their parents have raised them to be like, you know, black, stay away from black people, man, they're not good. So that tension was initially there, and it could have potentially caused a few problems. But then when you get past it and you start to be interested in other people's cultures, you see that people will go past their stereotypes to actually just interact as human beings. Do you know what I mean? But I think with young people, especially being young and still growing, sometimes it's very hard to get past that stereotype, to get to that point where you can interact as a human being. Do you know what I mean? So you will identify with the stereotypes that you've been taught day on and day and day and year in and year in from your parents. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, what you believe in, how you think is it can determine, you know, your actions.
Yeah, very true. So, since sharing the post online, I've been contacted by a number of people who have wanted to give me an insight into the school and the tensions that exist in the area. And although I knew that King's Landing had historically had issues with the National Front and that kind of thing, I didn't realise it was something that was still lingering and people were kind of fearful to speak up. Like, people have been in touch with me to say that they don't believe it was racist, but they don't want me to say their names because they're fearful of repercussions within the area that they're living in, because they don't want to be seen to be standing up for black people. So even people who aren't black can see the way that this is being painted out, but then they're afraid to stand up and be heard. So then you have people like me who literally just made a comment on it on a post, and then you end up with all of this backlash and people just coming out of the woodwork to say all sorts of rubbish. And all you're trying to do, all we're trying to do, is have a debate about the situation and try and make people have a better understanding and not be so quick to categorise children with these names that stick with them. So at the time you're calling them an animal or a savage, for you to decide that that is the best name for you to call them, it just kind of shows what you think about those people anyway. That's how you feel about black people. Whenever there's a crime or something like this happens, I think as a black person sometimes you think, you hear a story or you read about it and you think, oh, I hope the people weren't black. Like, I hope this wasn't a black thing, because you just know that you're going to go on the internet and read all of these negative comments about black people.
You know, I was reading an article on the internet, and it was about the internet and its algorithms, you know what I mean? So there are certain algorithms on the internet that when you click on certain things out of curiosity, naturally what the internet will do is push more of that stuff towards you and filter out the other stuff. So because of those algorithms, what's actually happening, you might click on something out of curiosity or because you want to know what it is, but then the internet pushes more of that. So what's happening with the young people is kind of like a social behavioral reinforcement thing. So you might not have a negative mindset, but because that stuff's being pushed to you over and over and over again, and you're constantly being distracted and checking your internet, then that negative mindset becomes a part of you. So already, like, you can see that, you know, just by validating things on social media and checking social media all the time, you almost got like a distorted view of the information that's coming towards you. So, you know, you will naturally get backlash because everybody who has a racist agenda or everybody who agrees with him are going to get more posts that push in their direction. So they're going to all see that, and then they're all going to respond to you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like just using the internet as a platform. I mean, it has a lot of benefits, but it actually has more. There's more negative.
I think
there's more negativity in it. Do you know what I mean? Because it pushes negative behavior. Because we're not naturally, we're positive people, but we're attracted to that negativity because we don't live it. You know what I mean? So it becomes attractive to us. So if we just click something and more of it gets pushed towards us, there's already a massive problem in the fact that, you know, we're using social media to deal with this situation in the first place, or the fact that it was even filmed and how people are responding to it. You know what I mean? People are just generally afraid of looking bad, but they can't help but clicking bad things. It's biased. It's very, very biased. Do you know what I mean?
So I have a comment that someone left on the Facebook post, and it is a girl who goes to Cardinal Wiseman school, and she said, sorry, but I am a child that goes to this school. This was not a racist attack, as the people that were punished were not all black. I've seen the original video, and yes, there were black people there, but there was also white boys that stomped on her. Please, can you not be biased to one side and see the full picture? People of all races hurt her, and she didn't deserve it. I know what the school and my race don't deserve, and that is these slurs that you're passing around and trying to make true. Thank you. So that is from a young person who goes to that school, and she's kind of upset that the school is being painted out to be this terrible school. I've seen a lot of people coming online in defence of the head teacher, who's also been getting a lot of flack. because of this situation. And I just don't think that it all needed to get this far. There was no need for it all to be blown out of proportion in this way and kind of turned into something that it isn't in order to further an agenda of people who I genuinely don't think care about the girl who was attacked. These are the kind of people who only ever report on things that are negative about other races. So they'll be quick to report about Asian grooming gangs and things like that, but then they won't talk about other races of people who are committing these acts or grooming children. It's always one-sided, and those are the people that they chose to invite to come to Birmingham and speak on the situation and create this kind of hatred. And it's just really upset me because this is our city and we don't need this here.
Yeah, but you know, like the other side of it, just taking from the same perspective, is that it's the internet, and the reason why those kids filmed it in the first place, they didn't want to film it to bring awareness. They wanted to bring attention to their pages. Do you know what I mean? Even when you look at the girl's video, when she's talking to her parents, the one thing that she gets excited about and she starts laughing about is the fact that she's all over the news and she's everywhere now. Yeah. Everyone can see her. You know, the other guy who was pushing the racist agenda, yeah. You know, he described her as being, you know, she's psychologically damaged, she yeah. can't go to school, she's absolutely broken. Yeah. And like, when I watched that one first, and I actually felt sorry for the girl, do you know what I mean? But then when I looked at the video and saw that the girl was actually really excited about the fact that despite her being beaten up, despite all of this stuff happened, she was very, very excited about the fact that she's everywhere, she's all over the news, and I've got all of these views. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then that's when the guy changed his tone. The whole energy of the video changed. Yeah. And he told him to turn off the live. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, like, I definitely think, you know, we should be dealing with these racist issues that are happening in society. But this issue, I believe, is just about how much people crave attention and how much social validation that they want from the internet. I think that's a very, very, very big problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's something that, you know, we should look at, because I feel like on both sides, you know, with her and her parents and the racists, you know, that side of things, they want attention, but also the young people who filmed it in the first place and have got over 100,000 views. Yeah. I can only imagine, I don't have facts on this, but I can only imagine that they'd be excited.